I knew in my heart that I could do more, but I felt in my mind that I didn't have what it took. I wasn't smart enough. I didn't have a college education. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have the right contacts, but I felt in my heart I could do more. What was stopping me? The willingness to do what I knew. So I decided to learn. What is it about you that's different than your friends? That you decided, I know I can do more than what I'm doing. I know I can have more. How many of you know that? Raise your hands, please. So you've come here to increase your skill set. Let us say together, skill set. So that you can begin to expand your achievements. See, that's the difference between people who make it and people who don't make it. They don't take the time to do what you've done, to come here, invest the time and energy to develop and sharpen your skill set so you can cut through the obstacles and the stumbling blocks and the failures and the disappointments and the setbacks that will be out there waiting for you. And I can tell you, based upon my own experience, you have a power in you to overcome anything that you are confronted with. I can tell you that there's something about you that no matter what life throws at you, you will overcome it. You and I are cut from the same cloth. We're branches of the same tree. There's something in you that attracted you here, that brought you here. I only attract millionaires or millionaires in training. Some of you right now, some of you hear me with your ears, but there's some of you can feel me in your heart. You can feel me, you understand. I've been there. I've hit a wall. I know what it is to question yourself and ask yourself, am I crazy? Can I do this? I know what it is to doubt yourself.
I blame the manufacturers. I blame my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. I blame my cynical neighbors. They were just selfish, looking out for themselves. Wouldn't loan me any money. I blame the community. I blame the economy. Hey, that's a pretty good list for not doing well, isn't it? I thought it was a good list. I will never forget this one day. Mr. Schoaf was very kind, but he was also very blunt, which was helpful for me. If he hadn't been blunt, I would have missed some things. On this particular day, with a kind of question mark look on his face, he said, Jim, just out of curiosity, tell me how come you haven't done well up until now? Excellent question, right? Well, so I wouldn't look too bad, I decided to go through my list. How I ever had the nerve to do that, I don't know, but I did. I went through the whole list. The government, taxes, prices, everything. He was very patient, and let me go through it all. When I finished, he looked over my list very carefully and said, Mr. Rohn, big problem with your list. You aren't on it. How brilliant. And how true. When I went to work for him a few months later, I learned very quickly to tear up my list of reasons for not looking good and threw it away. And then I got a fresh piece of paper, and I put one word on it. Me. There's a Black Heritage spiritual that says, it's not my mother nor my father, nor my brother nor my sister, but it's me, O Lord, standing in the need of prayer. See, I used to blame everything outside for my lack of progress, until I found the problem was inside. For a big share of my life, I kept looking for the answers to do well outside, and I found out the answers were inside. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you become. What are you going to do starting today that will make a difference in how your life works out? What are you going to do? See, if you don't do something starting today that will make a difference, guess what? It's going to be the same. And you can guess what the next 5 years are going to be like. Just look at the last 5. The next 5 years will be like the last 5 unless you, Major Key, make all the changes. Now sometimes, for some people it will continue, but sure enough, here's where it usually levels off. If there are no more exams to take, if there's no demand to get out paper and pencil, why read any more books? Now you will just learn by some experience, just getting out there and by doing it wrong and doing it right and stumbling around. You learn some. But can you imagine what would happen if you kept an accelerated learning curve all the rest of your life? Can you imagine what you could learn to do? The skills you could develop? The capacities you could have? So here's what I'm asking you to do. Be that unusual person who keeps up his learning curve. Succeeding in life is not usual. It's unusual. You need to develop some unusual habits to earn the outstanding rewards.
This is not for everyone. This is not for the faint at heart. This is for people who have goals and dreams they want to achieve.
Sometimes we look at pieces in our lives that don't make sense. The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Every painful time, even though you don't like it, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in the tough times.
You have got to change the way you think. It is the whole determining factor of where you go in life. We are all where we are today because we thought ourselves to this position. If you don't like the position, think yourself out of it.
If you want to be an impactful personality, you have to develop certain types of thinking and perceptions that change the way you see yourself and see the world. I call this the spirit of leadership.
Being able to watch something grow very calmly, patiently. I can't go any faster. We do that to our brain. We put a governor on our brain. The second we feel pain, discomfort, suffering, all those words that we hate to say because we're in this happy, peaceful world we live in now, we stop. We slow down. And if you can get through these different barriers and gain 5%, 2%, 3%, that 40% becomes 60. That 60% becomes 70, 80, and 90. And then you'll hopefully one day near 100. That dreamer mentality just would always fuel me. It would just fuel me, man. What if I can be a SEAL, man? Now I run 205 miles. What if I can go? What if I can go? And what if, how would that feel? You have to go into those dark chambers that we often shut off, and you got to open them up.
Book, you tell people to make a list of everything working against them, every real, valid excuse.
Right.
Why do you have them do that?
There's a lot of power in that list. So in that list of who you are, what makes you up, all these other things, it goes back to, once again, accepting. You have to first accept it before you can fix it. A lot of people walk around, oh man, I'm good. I'm good. No, you're not. You have to accept what you're not. You have to, and people don't want to do that. And that's the only way you can fix it. You have to accept it first before you can go on the journey. A lot of folks never even start the journey, man. They never start the journey because they live in this fake life that who they want to be, they act like they are, but they're not because they haven't fixed all this stuff yet. You got to fix this first before we can start our journey in life. So that's why I have them make this list. You fix these problems, now your journey can begin because you no longer care about how people are judging you. When you care more about how someone's judging you, you're going to stay right there. There's no forward momentum. So that's the whole thing about that list.
Nelson Mandela is a particularly special case study in the leadership world because he is universally regarded as a great leader. You can take other personalities, and depending on the nation you go to, we have different opinions about other personalities. But Nelson Mandela, across the world, is universally regarded as a great leader. He was actually the son of a tribal chief. And he was asked one day, how did you learn to be a great leader? And he responded that he would go with his father to tribal meetings. And he remembers two things when his father would meet with other elders. One, they would always sit in a circle. And two, his father was always the last to speak.
The scripture says the spirit of faith is in our words. When you say, I am blessed, I have favor, I'm coming out of debt, angels go to work. Good breaks will find you. The right people will track you down. And you can think positive. You can believe for favor. That's good, but nothing happens till you speak. The miracle is in your mouth. There is healing in your mouth. There is freedom in your mouth. There are new levels in your mouth. If you're fighting an illness, it's easy to talk about the medical report and how bad it looks. I don't think I'll ever get well. When you speak that, you're calling in more sickness, more defeat. You need to change what you're saying. The scripture says, let the weak say, I am strong. It doesn't say, let the weak talk about the weakness. Let the weak call 5 friends and discuss the problem. That's giving life to the negative. Now, I'm not asking you to deny the facts. Just say what God says about you. Your report should be, God is restoring health back into me. The number of my days He will fulfill. My mother wouldn't be here today after being diagnosed with terminal cancer in 1981 if she had not done this. It's not enough to just not say anything negative. You have to be on the offensive. All through the day, I would hear her quoting scriptures. When somebody asked how she was doing, it was never a sad song. It's hard. I don't understand it. I'm tired. Her report was, I am healed. With long life, God will satisfy me. What He started in my life, He's going to finish. She didn't feel healed. She felt weak, but she said, I am strong. The medical report said she was done, but she said, I will live and not die. She got in agreement with God and released the miracle in her mouth. 38 years later, she's still alive and healthy. Are there miracles in your mouth waiting to be released? Joel, when I break this addiction, then I'll tell people I'm free. You have to tell them first. Every day you need to declare, I am free, I am clean, this addiction does not control me. Every time you say, I am free, in the unseen realm, chains are broken. Strongholds are loosed. Freedom starts heading your way. You keep speaking it, and you will become what you're saying. You are prophesying your future. When David faced Goliath, a giant twice his size, it wasn't a coincidence that he looked at him and said, this day I will defeat you and feed your head to the birds of the air. He wasn't just being positive. He wasn't just talking smack. He understood this principle. The miracle was in his mouth. He had to release the victory. What if he would have said, wow, I thought I wanted to face Goliath, but look how big he is. I don't have any armor. I don't feel qualified. I don't think I have a chance. If he would have talked defeat, we wouldn't know who David was. If he would have just thought positive, I believe I can do it. I believe I've got what it takes, he wouldn't have defeated Goliath. He knew he had to speak it. I will defeat you. You may have a giant in your path, a giant of debt, a giant of depression, a giant of sickness. Like David, you need to announce to that giant, I will defeat you. You will not keep me from my destiny. The forces that are for me are greater than the forces that are trying to stop me. The scripture says, if any 2 of you agree, anything you ask according to God's will, it will be done. There's power in agreement. What's interesting is David didn't have anyone to agree with him. His brothers looked down on him, thought he was too small. His father saw him as less than, like he'd never amount to much. King Saul didn't think he had a chance. He even tried to give David his armor so at least it wouldn't be so painful. Nobody was there to encourage David, to say, hey, David, you can do this. We believe in you. You've got what it takes. There are times, like with David, you can't find anyone to agree with you. But I've learned if you'll come into agreement with yourself, if you'll get your heart and mouth in agreement and start speaking victory, declaring that you are well able, that you are blessed, that you will defeat the addiction, then even though others don't agree, because you're in agreement with yourself, you will see giants defeated. You will accomplish dreams that others thought were impossible. Now, don't be discouraged because nobody is cheering you on and nobody sees what you see. Sometimes God puts things in your heart that other people don't understand. Seems too big, too impossible. Instead of encouraging you, they'll do just the opposite. You think you can beat that sickness? I don't know. My grandmother died of the same thing. You still think you're going to have a baby? After all these years, you're kind of getting up there. You really believe you can build that orphanage, write that book, lead your company in sales, move into that nice neighborhood? I just don't see it. The good news is they don't have to see it. You don't need them to agree with you. Come into agreement with yourself. Get your heart and words going in the right direction. Start talking like it's going to happen. You have to say it before you'll see it. When David went out to face Goliath, all the Israeli army and all the Philistine army were watching. Here was this teenager with no military training, no experience, young, small, looked like a boy. In front of all of them, he had the audacity to say with confidence, Goliath, I will defeat you. Some of them made fun, ridiculed. Even Goliath laughed and said, am I a dog that you'd come at me with a stick? Sending this little boy, is that all you've got? The people around you may not see the greatness in you. They'll judge you by the outside, by your size, your experience, your background, your nationality. Don't let them talk you out of what God put in your heart. Do like David, keep speaking the victory in spite of what the naysayers think. Keep declaring your vision in spite of what experts are telling you. They don't know what God put in you. Don't let their negative words keep you from speaking positive, faith-filled words. When we were trying to acquire this place, the former Compact Center, it was like David versus Goliath. The company we were up against was the largest taxpayer in Texas, a huge real estate company. And there were plenty of people that didn't think we had a chance. Not just our critics, but even some of the experts. Deep down, I knew God put this in my heart. So I announced to the congregation that we were going to purchase the Compact Center. Over the next 3 years, we had all kinds of opposition. Plenty of times where it didn't look like it would ever work out. I was tempted to talk about what I saw. Our opponents are so strong. They have more funds. I don't see how this can happen. But I understood this principle. We give life to what we speak. If you start speaking the negative, agreeing with the doubt, talking about how big the problem is, you are giving life to the wrong things. Your words can keep you from your destiny. In the scripture, an angel told a man named Zechariah that his wife was going to have a baby. He was surprised because they were too old to have children. Zechariah said to the angel, are you sure? Look how old we are. The angel said, yes, Zechariah, it will happen. But because you doubted, you will remain silent and not be able to speak until the child is born. That's how powerful words are. God knew if Zechariah went around talking defeat, I don't see how, we're too old, it would have kept the baby from being born. God has put dreams and promises in your spirit that may seem too big, impossible. You don't have the resources, the experience, the connections. Don't do like Zechariah and talk yourself out of the miracle. Get in agreement with God. Dare to declare what He says about you. Maybe you're facing an illness. There's no sign of it getting better. You're right where Zechariah was. How can this happen? The medical report says no way. God has done His part. Now it's up to you.
You speak your future into the world. You speak your future. Whatever you say, whatever falls off your tongue, when you say I am, right? The unconscious mind says, and you are so. Whatever comes on the other side of that. And so you ask me a hard question, which one is most important? It starts with the thought. I think the thought is that's where everything originates. And then you add a whole lot of turbo boost to it with your tongue.
Most people are not living their dreams because of fear, ladies and gentlemen. I was in Columbus, Ohio yesterday speaking for a particular Ohio department. Young lady named Karen who greeted me, who organized the event. Very talented, very skillful. And she was talking about she wanted to become involved in the consulting business. I say, why aren't you doing it? I said, you have the abilities. I said, you're not here because they like you. You're here because you're doing the job. You're making things happen. And she came up with all kinds of ideas, but finally she said, I guess I can't see myself doing it. I guess I'm afraid. Fear, limited vision, and lack of self-esteem is what keep most people doing things they don't want to do. I flew from Columbus, Ohio to Denver, Colorado to a major communications company. And the person that picked me up at the airport told me about the fact that the company was planning on having a major downsizing. And they offered some of the employees there an early retirement, and some of them will earn as much as $300,000. And they said, this is the last time that you can take this offer. If you don't do it, when we have the downsizing, you might be among those who will lose their jobs, and all you will get is your severance pay. And only 50% of the people who were eligible to take the $300,000 took it. The others were afraid to take a chance on themselves. The others couldn't see themselves beyond that company. They couldn't see life after that company. The same reason that people stay in relationships where they're abused or they're unhappy or it's unfulfilling. They can't see themselves beyond that relationship. They can't see themselves enjoying life without that person. They think that this is all that they can do. The same reason that people get stuck at a certain level in life. They can't see things being better for them. And they think that this is it and this is all they deserve. This is all they've ever seen. It's been passed on to them. And they think that this is it for them. Oh no.
Everybody experiences extreme stress at some point in their life. I don't care who we are. Something happens outside our control and it hits our life and it knocks us on our tail. It might be a health stress. It could be something with your family. It could be economic, career. It could be something emotional that happened, biochemical. There's so many things. It could be an environmental situation that had nothing to do with you. Every one of us in our lifetime are experiencing extreme stress. And these days, because of the economy and the way we respond to it, the majority of people are experiencing some form of extreme stress, at least according to polls. Stress doesn't come from the facts. Stress comes from the meaning that we give to facts. Yes, those things have happened. But the real question is, if we fight what's happened, we've got a problem. We've got to decide, what are we going to do with what's happened in our life? How are we going to take this? How are we going to mold this? How are we going to turn our life around? Because when you come up with a new meaning, you get a new life. And we're going to take a look at something from a different perspective. We're going to ask you this question. What is the single force that controls the quality of your life? If there was one gift our Creator has given us, or the universe, whatever you believe, what is it? What is the one power that you have right now in this moment that can change everything? You have it, I have it, we all have it. This one singular individual power that can change anything in our life, regardless of what's happened to us. And I know you know the answer. The answer is the power of choice. The one thing we have in this world is we can't control the events, but we can choose what to focus on, we can choose what things mean, and we can choose what to do. Those three choices, those three decisions really control our life. It's not so much the conditions of our life that control our destiny as much as the decisions of our life. Try for a second to think about something. Think about your life. And just think about, are there a few decisions? If I were to ask you 2 decisions you made in your life, you know, that if you would have made a different decision, you would have a totally different life. I mean, it may be, a life may have been better, or it may have been worse, I don't know, but you would have a different life. I'm not asking you to buy into the fact that you should have known the answers. I just want you to see the power of a decision.
Do you want to go to college? I say, yes, ma'am, I'm going to college. She said, Inky, the chances of that happening, slim to none. Like, I'm not trying to crush your dreams, but I can't play with your future. It just doesn't happen. I said, just give me a shot. The first day I get to the school, I see why everybody said what they said. There was a cop at every single door and metal detectors. And I'm still hyped. My man starts searching me. His exact words were, what's your plan, little man? I said, oh man, I'm going D1, I'm going to college. He says to me, you'll probably go to cell block D1. He said, you had 2 uncles coming to the same place, great little ball players. He said, aren't they serving 13 and 40 years at the federal penitentiary, not even 10 minutes away from these front doors? I said, yep. He said, exactly. Apple don't fall far from the tree. When I got my scholarship from Tennessee and got back to Crim High School, the first person I went to see was that cop in the lunchroom. He said, how did you do it? He said, the reason I said it to you, he said, don't get it twisted. You thought I was trying to break you. I wasn't. He said, I've seen so many kids step up to me and say the same thing. They end up dropping out their freshman year. And so I wanted to challenge you to see, would you retreat or would you step up to me and fight for the thing that you said you wanted? I'm intrigued in life how when a person say they want something and the only thing it takes is for the circumstance to change. I'm intrigued by that, right? How a circumstance can take that away. In life, people don't burn out because of what they do. People burn out because life makes them forget why they do it. When it's about something greater than themselves, the opposition, the adversity, and the challenges are part of the journey. That's why it's so easy to spot people that's just out for their personal gain, because all it takes is for something not to go the way that they thought it was going to go, and now they no longer want it. And so when I got to Tennessee, it was Mayberry for me. And I come into my junior year, and I'm about to get exactly what I want. I'm about to get this thing called NFL. This thing that I've been working for. Like everything revolved around this game, and I finally get in a position in my life to where now I'm 10 games away from it. NFL on top of the paper. Inky Johnson projected top 30, automatic multi-millionaire. Just play the next 10 football games, Ink, you made it. And I go out in a silly game against Air Force, and I go to make a tackle, and when I hit him, every breath in my body left. I fall to the ground, I blacked out. When my eyes open, guys run over, Ink, let's rock, man, let's go, let's finish him off. And I'm like, I can't. They said, what do you mean you can't? I said, I can't move. I said, I can't feel anything. Doctor says to me as he's walking beside me, I don't know how you're still alive, son, you don't have any pulse. I'm sitting there and people coming into my room like, Inky, man, I'm sorry about what happened to you. Like, man, that's really the only thing you wanted, huh? Like, the only thing you really wanted was the NFL, that's it. I'm like, man, you limited God to that? Like life holds no substance, no value. And now the thing I placed my identity in, now it's gone. That's why I laugh at people when they say, man, if I could just get this, I'll be. Man, if I could just get this amount of money, I'll be. I'm like, ooh. What happens when God says yes and no? Like, do you have the ability to accept what you don't understand? Can you handle when things get off course? I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, man, I'm 8 games away. Like, let me get the contract, then redirect me so I can help my family. And God's like, no, son, I need you to really go that way. And I'm like, you sure? Like, I need to go this way. He's like, no, I need you to go this way. I got something greater for you. Now, it might take a little longer to manifest, but I got something even sweeter. I got something, son, that's going to carry you for the rest of your life. And I thought it was over after football got redirected. My life got redirected 2, 3 more times before I even fell into my purpose and my mission. I'm thinking I'm going to be a coach. God's like, no, you ain't. I'm like, well, maybe I'm supposed to go back to Atlanta and work in my neighborhood at the rec center. I get to Atlanta, I call the guy, he don't answer the phone. The only thing I had at that moment was a prayer and a book. And the prayer that I prayed was, Lord, I don't know what you want me to do. But people keep coming to me, telling me, speak. Inky, you need to speak. And I'm like, I'm not speaking. People coming, Inky, you need to speak. I'm like, no, man. And God brought me to the point where I had nothing, and I was on my knees. I said, Lord, listen, I don't know if this is what you want me to do, but I submit, and let's rock. And the next morning I woke up, I had my book I had written, and I got up and I looked at my wife. I said, I'm going to take this book to Oprah. Do you know Oprah? I'm like, nope. You know anybody at Harpo Studio? I'm like, nope. She said, go for it. And so I got my book, I got my suit. It's hot. Every door that opened, I ran in it. I'm, hey, man, Inky Johnson, drove from Atlanta. They're like, get out of here. So after getting kicked out like 4 doors, I go to the back of the building. I sit down, I put my back on the building, look up to the sky, and I'm like, God, thought it was you. And I get up, and I walk around the side of the building. I look down the sidewalk, and at this moment, there was nobody but Oprah and the security guard. She said, hey, that's a nice suit. I said, thank you. I said, I drove from Atlanta. I wanted to get you my book. So would you mind taking a picture? We take a picture, and I'm going to walk off, and her security says to me, hey, young man, come here. He said, what just happened never happens. So I leave, I start to put the picture on social media, send it to my friends, everybody's reaction. You gonna be on a book club? You gonna be on a show? I'm like, what just happened? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I'm like, God, are we moving like that? Don't know nobody on Oprah's staff, and look at my wife and say, I'm going to meet Oprah. And God puts me face to face with Oprah and puts the book in her hand. I said, God, let's go. I live my life a certain type of way according to the power that I know the Lord possesses. I live my life a certain type. Like when I go to the Lord in prayer, I go bold. Like, and I know the initial reaction when we go through things is to say, man, why did this have to happen to me? And it's an honest reaction. And some of the things we go through, I'm gonna just be real, it's not a scripture for it. But this is what I've understood. In life, some people don't need you to preach a sermon, they need you to live one.
When I was 297 pounds and I was fat as hell trying to be a Navy SEAL, the scariest thing in the world to me, even to this day, was that could have been the rest of my life.
So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
It's a luxury to pursue what makes you happy. It's a moral obligation to pursue what you find meaningful. And that doesn't mean it's easy. It might require sacrifice. If you need to change your job too, let's say you have a family and children and a mortgage, you have responsibilities. You've already picked up those responsibilities. You don't just get to walk away scot-free and say, well, I don't like my job, I quit. That's no strategy. But what you might have to do is you think, well, this job is killing my soul. All right, so what do I have to do about that? Well, I have to look for another job. Well, no one wants to hire me. It's like, okay, maybe you need to educate yourself more. Maybe you need to update your curriculum vitae, your resume. Maybe you need to overcome your fear of being interviewed. Maybe you need to sharpen your social skills. Like, you have to think about these things strategically. If you're going to switch careers, you have to do it like an intelligent, responsible person. That might take you a couple of years of effort to do properly. I've dealt with hundreds of people in my clinical and consulting practice, and we set a goal, we develop a vision, and work towards it, and things inevitably get better for people. So it's not a luxury, it's difficult. It's a moral responsibility, and it isn't happiness. It's not, the pursuit isn't for happiness.
It's a moral responsibility to pursue what is meaningful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Charles, I love what I do as a leader and a journalist at Axios. My dream would be to do what I do at 65, 75, let alone 85. How do you do that? How did you make that possible? Like, what is your regimen?
Well, the first thing, as another one besides Frederick Douglass, my heroes, Viktor Frankl, put it, ever more people have the means to live, but more meaning for live for. The way you do it is have meaning in your life. And the way you have meaning in your life is you discover your gift. You follow Maslow, what you can be, you must be. And whatever your nature calls you to be, you dedicate yourself to that. So I've dedicated myself to that, to learning every day, trying to find new principles every day, searching for how to better apply the principles we are applying them, and every day try to improve. So I wake up every morning.
What time?
I get up usually a little before 6, say 5:45. Try to get to the office by 7. And what keeps me going is, I think I can contribute today.
The most important thing to do first thing in the morning is get yourself in a powerful state. If you're in a great mood, you will produce great results. You will have a great day. The better your attitude, the better the results you produce. The better your attitude, the better you can handle, overcome, and thrive through challenges and difficulties that come your way. So get yourself in a great mood. Do whatever it takes to get that feeling first thing in the morning. Whatever works for you, meditation, reading, gratitude, music, exercise. These are all good options that get you in state. When your mind is positive and clear, you can handle just about anything, can't you? And when you can face challenges with a clear mind, they lose their power. They no longer halt your progress. They no longer have a strangle over your day or your life. You simply choose the best way to move forward and move on. Most people don't start their days like this. Most people aren't happy. Don't be most people. Be the minority who start their day with positive expectations. Look at yourself in the mirror and repeat to yourself, today is going to be a great day. No matter what happens, today I will see the good. No matter what happens, I will do the right thing. No matter what happens, I will give my all today. Today I will give my best, so tomorrow will be better.
To lock me in bed is torture. People that can spend days and days and days in bed, I marvel at them. I look up under the sheets. What do you have in there to keep you in there that long?
Say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling from helping others, nothing's better than it.
And I ask you, what do you want? Because the days you don't feel like getting up out the bed, the days you feel like quitting, giving up and giving in. Listen to me. The only thing that's going to get you up out that bed, the only thing that's going to make you strive past that obstacle, get past that brick wall, the only thing that's going to make you get up and do what you're supposed to do is what you see. When you wake up in the morning, look at your goals. Your goals going to tell you what time to get up. Are you hearing me?
Don't be afraid of missing out. Be afraid of being in the exact same place as you are now. 1 year from today, 5 years from today, 10 years from today. Struggling to pay the bills, struggling for energy, struggling to find that passion in your life.
Visualize what you are going to do today to get more out of your life. Do it every day. And every day, you will love the life you have created for yourself.
You know when you are guilty of wasting time and laying in bed and you're being lazy. You know it. Whether that was 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, you know it. You have to start the cycle of waking up early by waking up early.
Success is not convenient. You have to do what is required to accommodate success.
Holding the line, maintaining the standard, giving no slack, none. That's the discipline.
There are opportunities that are going to come your way, and there might be some other things going on, and you have to make a choice. You have to ask yourself the question,
what do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, nothing else matters.
How I'm about to use my time. Is it positive? Is it purposeful? Is it leading in the direction of where I'm going and the meaning of my life? Is it productive? And is it profitable?
We need to know where we're going, because all we're ever concerned about, roughly speaking, is where we're going. That's what we need to know. Where are we going? What are we doing? And why? It turns out that the way that we're constructed neurophysiologically is that we don't experience any positive emotion unless we have an aim and we can see ourselves progressing towards that aim. It isn't precisely attaining the aim that makes us happy. As you all know, if you've ever attained anything, because as soon as you attain it, then the whole little game ends. Then you have to come up with another game, right? So it's Sisyphus. And that's okay, but it does show that the attainment can't be the thing that drives you, because it collapses the game. That's what happens when you graduate from university. It's like you're king of the mountain for one day, and then you're like surf at Starbucks for the next 5 years, you know? So, yeah. So what happens is that human beings are weird creatures, because we're much more activated by having an aim and moving towards it than we are by attainment. And what that means is you have to have an aim. And that means you have to have an interpretation. And it also means that the nobler the aim, that's one way of thinking about it, the better your life. And that's a really interesting thing to know because, you know, you've heard ever since you were tiny that you should act like a good person. You shouldn't lie, for example. And you might think, well, why the hell should I act like a good person and why not lie? You know, even a 3-year-old can ask that question because smart kids learn to lie earlier, by the way. And they think, well, why not twist the fabric of reality so that it serves your specific short-term needs? I mean, that's a great question. Why not do that? Why act morally? If you can get away with something and it brings you closer to something you want, well, why not do it? These are good questions. It's not self-evident. Well, it seems to me tied in with what I just mentioned. It's like you destabilize yourself and things become chaotic. That's not good. And if you don't have a noble aim, then you have nothing but shallow, trivial pleasures, and they don't sustain you. And that's not good because life is so difficult, it's so much suffering, it's so complex. It ends, and everyone dies, and it's painful. It's like without a noble aim, how can you withstand any of that? You can't. You become desperate, and once you become desperate, things go from bad to worse very rapidly when you become desperate. And so there's the idea of the noble aim. And it's not something, it's something that's necessary. It's the bread that people cannot live without, right? That's not physical bread. It's the noble aim. And what is that? Well, it's to pay attention. It's to speak properly. It's to confront chaos. It's to make a better world. It's something like that. And that's enough of a noble aim so that you can stand up without, you know, cringing at the very thought of your own existence, so that you can do something that's worthwhile to justify your wretched position on the planet. And whatever it is that is you has this capacity to experience reality and to transform it, which is a very strange thing, you know. You can conceptualize a future in your imagination, and then you can work and make that manifest. You participate in the process of creation. It's an amazing idea because it gives consciousness a constitutive role in the cosmos.
You are going to meet people in your life you do not like. They may not like you. Doesn't matter. The point is, in work, you're achieving results towards a goal. Now, you don't have to love everybody you work with. It's a nice bonus, but it's not going to happen. So you got to kind of realize they are stepping stones in your career. They are stepping stones if you're an entrepreneur. They're points of resistance. They're roadblocks. They're you know, pitfalls. They're bumps. They're whatever you want to call them. But you've got to achieve success. You've got to get over them. You've got to work with them, and you're going to move on. If you dwell on those, if they eat at you and they take away from your focus, then you're losing. And that's something you have to learn. You have to learn to deal with the noise, people that don't like you, people that hassle you, people you don't like. But that has nothing to do with achieving the objective, whatever that is.
The first source of inspiration is deciding. Second source of inspiration is planning. And now, here's a big source of inspiration: beginning, getting started. Actually turning thought and the notes on the paper, the plans, actually now committing it to action, getting started. And beginning can be an incredible source of inspiration. Guess what you can say? I'm on a new track. I have carved out for myself a new beginning. I'm on my way to the most incredible health. I will never be the same again. I'm leaving the old, undisciplined part of me. I'm leaving that behind. I'm a new person. I made my first walk around the block that I'd thought about for so long and never did. I finally did it today. I've started. I have begun. That is an incredible source of inspiration. And that is to start, to begin. You cannot believe what can happen to your self-esteem. And many of you have already experienced it. I'm just asking you to begin something new in all the areas of your life. Maybe you've always thought about benevolence, and you just haven't gotten started, or you haven't made the plans, or you haven't made the decision. I'm asking you to start taking that stuff now that's in your head, that imagination, which is very powerful, and it's a great source of inspiration in itself. But then I'm asking you then to decide, use that inspiration. Then I'm asking you to make plans, begin to make plans, use that inspiration. And then if you take that first step, it can be the first step of an incredible journey. And beginning can be many things. Beginning a new commitment to learning. You say, I'm going to have a library second to none, and I bought the first book of my new library today. I'm going to be surrounded by information and inspiration. You know, I provided some space in my room for my expanded library. But here's what's exciting. I got the first book today. I've gotten started. This is just the first of many, many books. This is the first of a whole flow of information for me. This is the first time. You want to learn a new skill and you sign up for a class. Let's say you want to learn accounting or something, and you sign up for the class and you take the first class. You get started. You thought about it. You made some plans for it. You made some time for it. But there's nothing like sitting there in the class with the pen in your hand and the pad ready to take notes. Here I am. I'm starting on a new journey of learning. Remember that. Beginning is a fantastic source of inspiration. Planning is an incredible source of inspiration. If you begin that first week and then you don't continue, yes, you'll be inspired by deciding and planning and beginning. But all of that now will start to fade away if you don't do number 4. One of the great sources of inspiration is progressing. Once you've gotten started, now you proceed, you progress. Now you go to class the second week, you go to class the third week. But it's not only progressing in terms of time, it's progressing in terms of what you're learning, progressing in terms of getting the information that you hadn't discovered before. Now you're excited about that.
You use your time not jogging. You see, time determines everything. If your marriage is under stress, it's because you haven't used your time in your marriage properly. Time is so powerful that whatever you invest your time in, you become. There are some people in your life you need to drop. Why? They help you. In other words, time gives you time to change relationships. I put it to you, friends, that you can actually treat time just like money. Write this down. You can have time stolen. How many of you sat with people for 2 hours? When you was finished, you wasn't sure what happened. I mean, 2 hours of your life gone, and they talked to you, and you gained nothing. The older I get, the less time I have to just listen to talk.
Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but unfortunately you can't get more time.
I don't know about you, but you ain't old enough yet. There's a certain period in your life where you realize, I ain't got time for this. People just kind of wander into your life. Let's talk. Talk about what? Write this down. Time can be what? Abused. Time can also be lost. You can lose it, just like money. Time can be squandered, just like money. You could spend an entire day. Have you ever said this? I don't know where the day gone. Why? You squandered it. It didn't take you closer to your goals, didn't take you closer to your vision, didn't accomplish the things you wanted, and you spent it and squandered it on stuff that didn't count. Time is more important than money.